We will go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon / morning, everybody, for our next or most current Zoom conference call in preparation for Saturday night's World Championship doubleheader. And it's a really exciting special Halloween edition of Top Rank on ESPN. The entire card programming note will be on ESPN Plus starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. And then the co-main event will begin at approximately 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And that takes us to the co-main event, which will feature the 2016 United States Olympian, the undefeated, the WBO mandatory challenger, Mikaela Mayer, challenging for her first world title against Polish world champion Inoue Brodnicka, longtime world champion who's made 6 successful title defenses. And then that will lead into the main event featuring the monster 3-weight world champion, one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, Naoya Inoue, who is fighting the Australian Jason Moloney, former world title challenger, in perhaps Inoue's toughest test to date. And that is one of the best cards of the year on paper. And we are all very much looking forward to it. And we have Mikaela on the line with us now, and then Jason will be joining us in a little bit. So it is a Challenger Monday here, live from the Top Rank gym, as you can see. And before we get to Mikaela and the questions, a reminder to everybody who wants to ask a question, please use the raise hand button on your Zoom or send me a private message in the chat. And if you can't figure that out, just shoot me a text message and I will get you into the queue. So before we get to Mikaela and her opening statements, let's turn it over to the boss, Mr. Bob Arum, for his opening comments.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon in the eastern part of the United States. When Mikaela came to Top Rank, the one thing she told us is that she wanted to fight for a world championship. And it took some time, but she was grounded in the professional ranks. She's performed tremendously. And now on October 31st, she has the opportunity to win a world championship. And we believe she has the experience now and the ability to bring home to the United States a world championship.
And thank you, Bob. And now we're going to unmute Mikaela. And before we get to the questions, I want to start off with you, Mikaela. It's been, you've been calling out the world champions for a very, very long time. And so can you talk about the emotions of sort of waiting for that shot, waiting for somebody to give you that shot? And then when you heard that the WBO, in an unprecedented move in female boxing, made you the mandatory challenger for this title, can you talk about sort of the range of emotions you felt sort of waiting for this title shot, and then how you felt when you finally heard that, yes, somebody was mandated to fight you for a title?
Yeah, so I have been calling out the champs for a while. It's been something that I feel like I've been ready for a few fights. But now in hindsight, looking back, I think everything really just worked out perfectly. Like Bob Arum said, I've had some really great fights, and I've really been able to sort of settle into my pro style. And I'm more ready than ever to take on these world champions. And I feel like I'm the best in this division. I've had 13 fights to really gain that experience. And so even though we didn't get it a few fights ago, it really was kind of sweet when the WBO announced me mandatory. It was right after Eddie Hearn had signed Inoue Brodnicka. He has the WBC champ and Terry Harper as well. And now he has Meva Hamadou, she's the other champion in this division. So he was definitely trying to rally up the champs in this weight class, keep the belts in the Matchroom stable, but I've been #1 contender in this division for a while, so I'm the rightful challenger, and now we're going to get one of these belts back to America.
Thank you, Mikaela. And I think I heard a dog in the background. Is that Luna in the background, or is that the other one? I'm not sure.
That was Luna. Let's hope that was the only bark, because sometimes they throw fit. But
they're the stars of your Instagram channel, Mikaela. So before we So we will get to the first question for Mikaela, and as a heads up, again, the raise hand button on the Zoom, or just shoot me a message on the chat. And I was told it's Luna and Moose. I apologize to Moose for that oversight. Our first question comes from Jake Donovan from Boxing Scene. Jake, when you're ready, please go ahead.
Thanks, Evan. Appreciate it. Hey, Mikaela.
Hey.
First, congratulations on getting this fight. I know it's been a long time coming. Like you said, you've been calling out all the champions for a very long time. How long specifically has Brodnicka been on your radar?
Brodnicka has, so I don't even want to say that one specifically has been on my radar, because I know that we were going after, it was tricky. We were going after Ava Wallstrom, who was the WBC champ. And this was about a year ago. We were in negotiations, and I woke up one day and the fight went to Terry Harper. So Terry Harper beat Ava Wallstrom, which I assumed that she would. I never really thought that Ava was all that great. And so now Terry Harper has the belt. And so I kind of came at her for a little while, saying, you know, that I was number one contender. That should have been my world title fight. She ranked number 13, and she kind of skipped the line there, but you know, this is boxing. That's how things work out. So, my radar was sort of directed towards her, but then when the WBO made it mandatory and we realized that, okay, let's start going after the other champs, then I started looking in Ava Brodnicka's way, but I was ready to fight anyone with a belt.
Very cool. And I got one more question for you. But Bob, I did want to ask you, after Mikaela mentioned that she was mad when Wallstrom wound up fighting Terry Harper, she gave you the mandate that the next fight had to be a title fight. How soon did you get to work on making that happen?
Well, you know, when Mikaela gives the order, we step with the tension and try to get it done. I mean, we're very proud of Mikaela. She's comported herself tremendously, both in and out of the ring. And she's going to be a great world champion and a great credit to women's boxing.
Yeah, thanks. And then, Mikaela, my final question for you, not just getting this title shot, what does it mean that it's coming on a card of this magnitude?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's huge. I am honored that Top Rank has really moved me in the way that they have, and it's not just me, but like believed in women's boxing, and I think that they've moved me perfectly. I think they've put me on some amazing cards, and it's just given me the platform that I wanted, the platform that women's boxing needed. And I always felt like a duty to, I know they signed me, they obviously believed in me, but I always felt a duty to still prove to them that they made the best decision. Like, they signed the best female they possibly could, and I wanted to live up to their expectations and their hopes for me. So this is a big card, co-main event. It's big for women's boxing as well, and it's great. It's only going up from here. Some big things for the sport.
Thank you so much, Jake. And our next question comes from Fight Hype's Sean Zettel. Sean, please go ahead when ready.
Hey, Mikaela. Thanks for the time today. You said recently that, you know, Coach Al and them are training you like you're fighting up against a god, but you said you don't feel that she's on your level. Iwa isn't. Why do you feel that way, Mikaela, that she's not on your level?
You know, I've seen her fight, and it's not really about her, it's about me and where I am in my career and how much I've developed over the last couple of years. And even just this year, like this pandemic, I've only had 2 fights, but we've been in training camp for 4. I've been training back to back to back nonstop, you know, 13 pro fights in 3 years. I've been working hard, and I'm peaking as an athlete. Like, I'm really coming into my own. And so it's really not about Awa. It's really about me. They always train me like I'm going up against someone amazing, and I always have to be like, you guys, don't worry, just relax. Like, I got this. But that's what good coaches do. You know, they're looking at everything Inoue Brodnicka does really, really well, and then they're acting as if she does it even better than how she actually does it. So they're preparing me for a really strong, sharp version of Inoue Brodnicka, and then, like I said, in return, that is making me the sharpest, most technical, sound version of Mikaela Mayer. So this is more just about my journey and where I feel like I am as an athlete, and I feel like I'm the best in this division. I just don't feel that anyone can beat me right now.
She could do a few frustrating things in there. I'm sure, you know, she gets on her bike sometimes, and then on the inside, she'll just clinch quite a bit, you know. How do you deal with with those kind of tactics in this fight?
You're exactly right. And it can be. That's what Coach Al sort of has been instilling in me in this whole camp. And like, listen, I know that you are the better fighter, but that can be a frustrating style when someone's constantly moving or when someone's holding. So he's really prepared me for that. It's not obviously when she decides to get up on her bike and move, it's not about chasing her. It's about walking her down and staying behind the jab, which is he's big on. And then when she wants to come in there and hold, it's not letting her do that, keeping that space, working her body, and not letting her push me back, but stay grounded, hold my ground, and push her back.
Thank you so much, Sean. And we go ahead to ESPN.com's Eric Woodyard. Eric, please go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, Mikaela?
Hi.
Yeah, pretty good. So I have a question. Obviously, when you step it up in title fights, the mental focus and everything increases on this level. For you, you spoke about the pandemic and everything like that. How were you able to, stay at your best throughout this time? Like you said, it's your second fight of 2020. Just the mental focus. How are you able to do that throughout the pandemic and be your best, as you say you feel like at this time?
I mean, it obviously was a little bit difficult. Everyone's worried about catching this virus, and hey, it happened to me. I did a whole camp and I go in there and I test positive for COVID, have to quarantine and restart the whole camp over again. So there was a little relief in this camp, thinking like, okay, I already went through it. Hopefully, I can't. I think it's a little more difficult to catch it again. So there was a relief there, but I mean, this is what I love to do. And nothing was going to stop me from getting in the gym and being my best. Like, I understand that gyms are closed and everybody needs to stay quarantined. But I mean, the second this happened, I set up a gym in my backyard. And when I felt like that wasn't enough, I hopped in my car and drove across country to Coach K to start training, because I didn't want to go near Coach Al since he's a little older. I didn't want to get him sick. Like, I just do what I have to do to get it done. So there's really no excuse for the pandemic or anything that's going on. Like, you got to get it done. So I don't think it's made it any more difficult for me. It's just got to roll with the punches.
Thank you very much, Eric. And next we go to Matt from Behind the Gloves. You're unmuted. Please ask your question. And Matt, before you go, again, a reminder, raise hand button, private message, and we'll get to your questions. Matt, go ahead.
Hi, Mikaela. When you hear Brodnicka say that you're slower than her with not so good legs, do you believe that she's saying that to get in your head, or that she just completely believes that?
I think that's her just looking at my tape and trying to come up with something to say, because she knows that I do everything better than her. It also shows me her IQ, because if you look at my fights, I'm not slow. I'm not flat-footed. I have great feet. And she may think that because she likes to hop and move around and jump around the ring, but that's not necessarily good boxing. She's hopping around, jumping in circles, but she's not even punching when she's moving. So I don't think she believes anything that she's saying. I think that she's hyping up the fight and talking a big game, but I don't think she believes what she's saying. I think she knows I'm the better fighter. She knows I'm fast. She knows I'm strong. She knows I'm more technically sound, and she's just playing into the hype.
You've said recently your boxing skills over the last 10 months have improved, so much. Can you give us a little bit of an insight onto what you think you've improved on, in this period?
Yeah. So like I said, even though this is only my second fight, like I've had 4 camps back to back. And so what happens when you have camps is you're constantly peaking yourself, right? And so I really just jumped level. Stop. Sorry. But we're always working on something new every camp. My coaches don't want me to be complacent. They don't want me to be a one-dimensional fighter. And it takes time to do that transition from the amateurs to the pros. So yeah, I've been pro for 3 years, but I'm still really settling into that style. My first half of my pro career, you guys saw me like working the body. And a lot of people were like, why isn't she using her height and reach? Why isn't she using her height and reach? And that's because we were training I already know how to use my height and reach. Maybe the people watching me as a pro didn't know that because I wasn't doing that, but I already knew how to do that. Coach Al and Coach K needed me to learn how to fight on the inside. So I was learning on the job and I was practicing. And then this last fight against Helen Joseph, we got back to boxing and moving. So now people are going to see, okay, she wants to go and she wants to fight on the inside, but no, I can box and I can move too. And so now it's about putting both of those styles together and keeping them guessing.
Cheers, Mikaela.
Thank you very much, Matt. And if I can find her unmute button, we will get to Crystal Hart. Hold on one second, Crystal. You should be unmuted. Please go ahead when ready. Hold on, sorry about that, Crystal. You should be unmuted. All right. While we wait for Crystal to unmute, Mikaela, I mean, you haven't dealt with many opponents who. Oh, Crystal,
I got it. I got it here. Okay.
Crystal, you're going to make me filibuster there for a second. So, go ahead when ready, Crystal.
Okay.
Thank you.
I saw one of your tweets about you were so excited about the Lomo Lopez fight and the right uppercut. Could you tell me then what happened afterwards when you went into the gym, how this maybe invigorated you and your training?
Yeah, so what's a little bit different with me, I think, is I live with my coaches for the entire camp. So I did the first 9 weeks up at Coach Al's house. I live in his room downstairs. Like, we have breakfast together, dinner together. I mean, everything is boxing for over 2 months, right? And then I come here to Colorado, and Coach K joins us, and we're just all under one roof. So I just don't escape it. Like, I wake up in the morning, I just want to have my coffee, and the first thing I hear about is what we're like, listen, today I really want you to work on this. Really, I want you to step over. I mean, we're doing step around drills in the kitchen, like in my pajamas in the morning. And so, of course, after that Lopez fight, those nice uppercuts, and that's something that we've really been working on as well, to catch people coming in, is that nice tight right uppercut. And it's a skill. It's to learn how to throw those uppercuts properly, especially if you've got someone like Coach Al, who's a technician and wants everything done perfectly. It's been months and months of trying to perfect those uppercuts. So when he saw Lopez do it, it was like, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. I'm like, okay, I got it.
Okay. Good. Hey, and when you tested positive, did you have any symptoms, or you took the test and had
So
it all?
my antibody test showed that my IgG was positive, which means I had come in contact with it months ago. So I don't really remember ever being sick. I must have been asymptomatic, but it was still just lingering in my system. So it wasn't recent, and I couldn't really pinpoint like when I would have had it. But yeah, I don't know.
And we got a couple more minutes with Mikaela, and then we will go on to Jason Moloney. Gail, you were unmuted. Please go ahead when ready.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mikaela. Your dogs have been making my dogs bark, so if we hear them all together, everybody, I'll just apologize up front. I read that your favorite fighter who influenced you was Vernon Forrest, who, of course, Coach Al trained. Who's been gone, gosh, more than a decade. I'm curious how that came about and what Coach Al's told him about you.
Yeah.
And how, on a third question, what living fighter do you most admire today?
Okay, well, yes, Vernon Forrest was not only like one of Coach Al's fighters, but I think it was someone, it really hurt him when Vernon passed. And because it was unexpected, he died young. And so I just learned this the other week, but the year Vernon died is the year I went up to Marquette and met with Coach Al. And so I've been hearing about him since the first week I had met him, and it hasn't stopped. It's been constant. And so Coach Al was really proud of Vernon Forrest and what he did in his style and how he developed him. And he wanted to instill that in me because we're both similar. Our body types are very similar, right? So long, lean. But the thing about Vernon is he was tall and he can use his reach, but he worked the body really, really well. And that's something that Coach Al's always wanted me to do and sort of emulate. So he put me in front of his fights and say, look how he gets the space, look how he uses his jab, but look how he shifts and goes to the body. And that's what you need to do. That's what's going to make you multidimensional. People are going to want to get you on the inside, but when they see you rip the body, they're going to be like, oh shoot. And then you have them right back out where you want them. So that was really important to him. And then just, I think overall, like, the character of Vernon Forrest, and he would just share stories with me and about their camps, and he learned a lot. And so he takes what he learned in those Vernon camps and tries to instill them in my camp. We do the exact same workouts, the exact same. The way he peaks me for a fight is exactly the same, and And so, yeah, it's gonna be good. It's good. I like Brennan, and from watching him over and over again, like I love that style. I love that he can box and move, and I love how he digs to the body. So I just learned to he's just become my favorite fighter.
Thank you very much, Gail. And we will go to one final question for Mikaela, and that comes from Cynthia Conte. Cynthia, you're unmuted. Please go ahead.
Hi, Mikaela. So I remember watching you, or actually following your tweets when Harper and Jonas fought. One, what did you think of that fight, and how did you see that outcome? And then B, I know you would love to fight Harper. Do you think that fight could ever be made? And Bob Arum, you could also answer that. And would you also like to fight possibly Natasha Jonas, even though she's not a belt holder?
Natasha Jonas fight and Terry Harper went very similar to how I expected. I did not expect Terry Harper to just completely dominate Natasha Jonas. One, because Terry Harper's not that experienced, and Natasha Jonas is. I don't care. She's Harper's 23, Natasha Jonas 36, but the Jonas has that experience that Harper does not have. And I've been saying that from the beginning. Eddie Hearn got her that world title fight at rank number 13, and she's not ready. She's gonna get that fight, and she is not experienced enough to hold on to that belt. So I thought the score for that fight was fair. I do believe that it was a fair draw. I think that Natasha Jonas would have gotten the decision if she didn't let herself get backed into the ropes. But you can't go into a fight with a champ and be fighting with your back on the ropes. Like, that gets you a draw, not a win. So I was happy with the decision. And I absolutely hope that after I get this belt from Brodnicka, that Eddie Hearn and Harper will be willing to make this fight happen with me, so we can unify these belts. But because that's what they told me. They said, go get a belt, Mikaela, and then we'll talk about it. So yeah, Bob, hold them to their word when it comes to that. And no, I really don't have any desire to fight Natasha Jonas. If she gets a rematch with Harper and gets the belt, then hell yeah, let's fight. But I want to unify this 130-pound division, because there's girls at 135 that I'm ready to go and challenge myself against. Yeah, and other divisions after that. I want to be a multi-division world champion. So I want to unify this 130-pound division as fast as possible.
And Bob, about the unifications?
Oh, we do a lot of business with Eddie Hearn. We let him use our fighters. We use his fighters. So I don't see any difficulty in making that match. I mean, why not? Mikaela wins the title on Saturday. She'll be, I think, the most prominent woman in women's boxing, because thanks to ESPN, they are behind her, and ESPN is now clearly, without any question, the biggest platform for boxing. We saw what happened with the Lopez-Lomachenko fight. Over 3 million watched it on ESPN, and another 1.5 million watched it on ESPN Plus and the ESPN app. So when you do numbers like that, and Mikaela is part of the ESPN family, we can, I'm sure, make matches with any of the other champions in women's boxing.
Thank you, Bob. And Mikaela, I want to let you go on this question because nobody asked it, but I'm dying to know. Your opponent, Brodnicka, has a habit of doing some interesting things at weigh-ins and wanting to shock people. And she's kissed an opponent at one weigh-in. She's worn some interesting outfits, and she's a showman, or for lack of a better term. Are you ready for any sort of head games that might come at this weigh-in?
All I know is that she is lucky there is a 6-foot distancing rule for now. Okay, that's all I know. And if she wants to show up to the weigh-ins and half naked, I mean, we're all half naked, but in her lingerie, then fine. Show up. People are going to tune in just to see her looking like that. So fine. tune in for that. I don't care what you tune in for, just tune in. I don't have a problem with what women decide to wear. If that makes her feel confident and strong going into this fight, then she should wear that. I care about boxing. I care about how she fights. So do what she wants going into the fight. It's not gonna help her out come Saturday night.
Well, I think that's a good place to close off. Mikaela, again, thank you so much for your time today, and we will see you in the bubble on Wednesday night, Thursday for the press conference. And again, the press conference Thursday will be live on ESPN Plus and available on the Top Rank YouTube channel immediately following the press conference. So Mikaela, thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you in the bubble.
Thanks so much. See you guys
Thank
soon.
you. Bye. And now we're going to move right along to the next portion of the Zoom press conference, to the main event fighter, the challenger, one of the few fighters in the world who is willing to go monster hunting. He is from Melbourne, Australia. He is a former world title challenger, the only loss coming via controversial split decision to Emmanuel Rodriguez for the IBF title a couple years back. He's coming off a big win over Leonardo Baez on June 25, which was televised live on ESPN. He is right now in Las Vegas getting ready for the biggest fight of his life. Please welcome Jason Moloney. And before we get to Jason, I want to talk to Bob. You've gotten to know the Moloney brothers very well. You've gotten to know Jason very well this past year. Can you talk about how excited you are for this fight and what you think Jason will bring to the table against the man many experts regard as pound for pound the best fighter in the world?
Well, we know that Inoue is been tremendous in the bantamweight division. Indeed, he is on everybody's pound for pound list. And talking about pound for pound lists, the Athletic has their 10 pound for pound lists came out over the weekend, and Top Rank fighters were 7 of those 10 pound for pound fighters. But Jason Moloney is the one fighter, I believe, that has the opportunity to upset and beat Inoue. It's going to be a tough task, but Jason is a real tough guy and knows how to fight and is not afraid and has the opportunity to beat Inoue. And I know that the Australian fans feel that way because Jason's fight with Inoue will be shown on pay-per-view all over Australia. And we expect hundreds of thousands of Aussies to tune into that fight.
Thank you, Bob. And sorry, I accidentally muted the boss, Bob. I'm sorry about that. I did not mean to mute you. Now joining us on the line, again, just as a reminder, raise hand button, private message, shoot me a text, and we will get to your questions. But now joining us on the line, live from Las Vegas, vis-a-vis Melbourne, Australia, Jason Moloney. Jason, same question I had for Bob, I had for you. A lot of people in and around the bantamweight division want nothing to do with Naoya and Inoue, making excuses not to fight him. You're running into that head first. Can you talk about the confidence and why you feel you're the man to dethrone arguably the pound for pound best fighter in the world?
Yeah, thanks, Evan. It's good to join you all. And mate, I think every fighter should want to fight the best. That's why we're in the sport. My dream and my goal is to be the best bantamweight in the world, and the only way to make that happen is to beat Inoue. And I've been working towards this opportunity and wanted this opportunity for a long time, and it's finally here. And I'm completely confident, and I know I've got what it takes to beat him. And Saturday night's the opportunity to prove it, and I can't wait. I'm ready to go.
And our first question, fittingly enough, comes from Down Under, Jason with Fight View 360 Australia. Please go ahead when ready, sir.
Yeah, g'day, Jason. Congratulations on the opportunity, mate. my question is that if you are successful, you'll go up on the same lines as the biggest upset, along with Jeff Horn and Lionel Rose when he defeated Fighting 100 back in 1968. Looking to the future, where would you like to fight in Australia, and what stadium would you like to bring a huge fight to? What's Etihad or Suncorp or ANZ? And finally, the grand finals happened on the weekend. Richmond and the Melbourne Storm got up, as you can see there by my hat. Your thoughts on the grand finals for the weekend?
Yeah, g'day, mate. Yeah, look, obviously not looking too far ahead. I've got a big task on Saturday night, but obviously once I get past Inoue, the sky's the limit, and I would love to have a massive, super fight down under in Australia. And, I think being from Melbourne myself, the absolute dream venue would probably be the MCG. To pack out the MCG with 100,000 people would be the ultimate goal and the ultimate dream. And beating Inoue and becoming a unified world champion and one of this will go down as the biggest win in Australian boxing history. So I think we can get a lot of support behind me once I get past Inoue, and if we can fill the MCG, then geez, how special would that be? And then going on to the other half of your question, mate, didn't get to catch any of the grand finals over the weekend, but obviously great to see the Storm get up, and Richmond did a great job too, and looked like Dustin Martin absolutely cleaned up, so good on him.
And thank you very much, Jason. And next we go to Matt from Behind the Gloves. Matt, please go ahead when ready.
Hiya, Jason. Many people in boxing see Inoue as pound for pound number one, and also one of the most dangerous punchers in boxing at the minute. What do you see in his game that you feel that you can exploit going into your fight on Saturday?
Yeah, obviously a great fighter. I've got a lot of respect for him, and obviously, like you said, he's got great power. But I see chinks in his armor. I think when he is extremely aggressive and obviously backs his power the way he does come in reckless at times, and can, he is there to be hit, and he can be as Donaire showed, he can be hit and he can be hurt. And I just back my ability, mate. It's not like I'm just looking at Inoue like, I can see this big weakness. I want to fight him for that reason. I want to fight him because I want to be the best, and I back my ability. And I know how hard I've worked over the past 17 years to get to this opportunity, and I believe in myself, and I'm going to do absolutely whatever it takes to win this fight.
You both share a common opponent in Emmanuel Rodriguez. Obviously, you had a close fight with him, and Inoue dispatched him in 2 rounds. But do you see this fight as basically a case of styles make fights, and that you're prepared to fight, fire with fire and meet him in the centre of the ring?
Yeah, definitely. And, we know that even though we share a common opponent, that's not exactly how boxing works. Just because he beat him and I didn't doesn't mean anything. And to be honest, if, that fight was 2 years ago, and if I was to fight Rodriguez now, or even if I was to fight myself 2 years ago, I reckon I'd knock both of those guys out too. So I'm not taking too much away from that common fight or common opponent. I know how much I've improved over the past 2 years, and this is a completely different animal to the one that Rodriguez fought.
Thank you very much. And now we go to Mike Dixon. Mike, you're asked to unmute, so please unmute and ask your question.
Hi, Jason. The Las Vegas odds makers listed you as an underdog at plus 600. Does this give you like an added motivation or a chip on your shoulder to win on Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely. I love being the underdog, and I love proving people wrong and going out here and, as I've said before, shocking the world. This is the opportunity. I know a lot of people don't give me a chance in this fight, and that just gives me extra motivation and an extra fire in the belly to go out there and show people what can be done. People play some of these fighters like Inoue and like they did do with Lomachenko on this pedestal and think that they're unbeatable, but they're not. We're all human. We're all got two arms and two legs, and everyone has weaknesses. Everybody can be beaten. And I'm going to go out there and show everybody what belief, hard work, and having the guts to be brave enough and dare to be great can do. And I can't wait to go out there and achieve this. It's going to be very special, and I look forward to proving everybody wrong.
Thank you very much, Mike. And next we go back down under, and I have to say, Fight Week with a prominent Australian fighter does not feel the same without the Australian media here. So on behalf of Top Rank, I cannot wait till the Aussie media comes back. We had some great times during Crawford Horn Fight Week, especially when you all stalked the gym to try and get a look at Terrence Crawford. There's some classic moments there. So now on that note, we go to Brock Ellis from Australia Boxing. Brock, please go ahead when ready.
Thanks, Evan. It's great to have an Australian presence here, albeit virtually. Jason, I wanted to ask, do you feel like you're one of the rare fighters to have benefited from the global pandemic?
G'day, Brock. How are you, mate? Yeah, I do, mate. It's, obviously when the whole pandemic hit, it was a pretty scary thought to think that I might have been sitting on the sidelines for the rest of the year. Obviously, I was originally scheduled to fight on April 25th, and that fight was called off. And it was a scary thought to think that what's going to happen. I'm 29 years old in the peak of my career and chomping at the bit to get another chance at a world title, and I can't fight. So it was a pretty scary thought. But thankfully, I'm signed to the best promotional company in the world in Top Rank, and they didn't let the pandemic stop boxing. They brought it back in the bubble, and I've been given two of the biggest opportunities of my life. And I took the first opportunity in June with both hands and had a good performance against Baez. But this one is going to be even better. And I've got the opportunity of a lifetime against Inoue here. And I'm 100% ready to go. And I'm going to grab this opportunity with both hands, put on the absolute performance of my life. And this year will go down, even though it's been such a shocking year for most people in the world, it'll go down as the best year in my life.
And just on that Baez fight, in Australia, it's widely seen as one of your best, if not your best performance. For those who hadn't seen you previously, do you think that's a good sample of what you're capable of?
Man, I was happy with that performance, but I still haven't shown anywhere near what I'm fully capable of doing inside the ring, I don't think. And that's what excites me. That Saturday night, this is where it's my time to shine. This is the biggest platform, and this is where I go out and show everybody actually what I'm capable of doing. And again, I think that's part of the reason I am a big underdog, is that people don't know what I'm capable of doing inside the ropes. And I'm looking forward to showing it on Saturday night. And there's no better way and no better place to show it.
Thank you very much, Brock. Now we go back to the United States with Jake Donovan from Boxing Scene. Jake, you have a question for Jason first and then one for Bob, correct? So shoot when ready, sir.
Thanks, Evan. Hey, Jason, good catching up with you again.
You too,
thank
mate.
you, appreciate it. So I wanted to ask, what does it mean for you that you and Andrew continue to enjoy this ride together? Not just, that you're fighting on the same schedule, basically, even though 2 weeks apart this time, but that you're both entering pretty much the biggest fights of your respective careers at the same time.
Yeah, it's very special, Jake. It's, me and Andrew walked into the boxing gym together for our first day 17 years ago. And mate, there's been a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifices, and we've been together every step of the way and, rolled the roller coaster together. A lot of ups and a lot of downs and a lot of hard work, a lot of blood, sweat and tears. And in 3 weeks' time, we can get on a plane with 4 world titles on that plane and go home to Australia and celebrate together with each other, but also our friends and our family and everyone who's supported us since day one. So it's going to be very, very special, mate. And, all those years of hard work and sacrifices will all be worth it once we both achieve this dream. Firstly with myself Saturday, but then Andrew obviously on November 14. And it's a very, very exciting thing to think about. And it gives me that extra motivation to go out there and make sure that we get the job done.
Great. Thank you so much, Jason. Best of luck this Saturday. And then Bob, for you, I wanted to ask, as Jason mentioned, he and Andrew were supposed to come over here in April. Inoue and Casimiro were supposed to fight, I think, a week after Jason's fight. Was it always in the plans that Jason would essentially get this opportunity, even way back then?
Well, first, Jake, we put him in with a very, very good opponent in his last fight. And our matchmakers wanted to see, they had heard about it, they had seen film, they wanted to see for themselves the level of his competence and how good a fighter he was. We had heard all these stories, and he passed the test. And so when it came to making the match with Inoue, we felt that it was a very competitive fight and that Jason had a real good chance to upset Inoue. And so we made the match.
Thank you, Bob. And we have one final question for Jason, then we'll let him get back to his day. Cynthia Conte, you should be unmuted, so please go ahead.
Inoue is known as the monster for very good power.
Cynthia, can you please, there's something going on with your volume. Can you please check your volume and then ask the question again? Sorry, you said it was a bit muffled.
Can you hear me now?
Still not great. If you want, try it once more. Maybe speak a little louder, and maybe we'll be able to make it out.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Go ahead.
Okay. Inoue is known for his devastating power. There's a reason why he is called the monster. We've seen him in other fights. He's knocked people out in like 2 rounds or even 1 round. Talk about your training camp. Have you brought in different sparring partners? And how do you get ready for someone's power like that? Are you bringing in different weight class sparring partners for this camp?
Yeah, look, he's got exceptional power, but I believe that I do too. And in terms of the sparring partners and the preparation, we've had a really good mix of sparring partners. We had some good sparring back home in Australia, and then I've had 5 different sparring partners that we've been switching throughout the training camp over here in Vegas. And 3 of the guys are actually staying in this house with us at the moment, the sparring partners, and we've had them watching Inoue every day. That's their homework, study Inoue, and when they come into the ring with me, their job is to be little imitations of Inoue, and they're jumping in, trying to have the same movements and trying to throw the same shots as Inoue and trying to give me, the same look that Inoue's going to give me once we get inside the ring. And they've done a tremendous job. I've been going through 12 rounds and they've been getting in and out and giving me a fresh look, and all of them are coming at me as, a mimicked version of Inoue. And it's been really great sparring and really great preparation. I couldn't be more ready. It's the fight of my life, but this preparation's been the best preparation I've ever had, physically and mentally. I've never been in this sort of mind frame or this sort of shape, and I'm absolutely ready to go. And I'm confident that after all these years, Saturday night's going to be the best night of my life, and can't wait to stand in the ring at the end of that fight with those 3 bullets around my waist, and the sky's the limit after that. I guess lastly, like you touched on with his power, it's a fight. I know, you can't swim without getting wet. I know I'm going to have to wear some of his shots, but believe me, I can take a shot. I've never been hurt or dropped or knocked out ever in over my 100 fights. I know that I'm going to have to, take some of his shots, and I'm going to have to probably go through a little bit of adversity to win this fight. But as I said, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. One thing that separates us, I believe, is the will. I don't think anyone in this division wants it as bad as I do. And on Saturday night, I'll show what I'm willing to go through to make sure that I come out successful.
And and if some of the undercard fights run short, we're going to show video of him and Andrew sparring one another, because I'm sure that that is some incredible action. So, Jason, sorry, we bugged the gym. You and Andrew sparring will be on ESPN Plus Saturday night. Before we go, Jason, any final thoughts that you want to relay to everybody watching and to all the media here today?
Yeah, look, thanks for your time, everybody. A massive thank you to Bob, firstly, for this opportunity. Obviously, it's the opportunity that I've been working towards for 17 years, as I mentioned, and I'm so thankful that this opportunity is finally here. On Saturday night, I've got the chance to achieve my dreams, and as I said, the preparation's been absolutely fantastic, and I'm very, very confident that I'm about to go out there and achieve something very special. So don't miss it. Tune in. Bob did say that he thinks it's going to be possibly fight of the year, and he's a smart man. This is going to be fight of the year and upset of the year as well for a lot of people. And I can't wait. So tune in and watch something very special.
Thank you so much for joining us, Jason. Quick programming note. Again, starting at 7:30 Eastern, ESPN Plus. The entire card will be on ESPN Plus. So we've got the 2 world title fights, Mikaela Mayer, Inoue Brodnicka, Jason Moloney against Inoue. And also in action, we've got Jared Anderson. We've got perhaps the best prospect / contender in boxing, and Jesse Bam Rodriguez, who returns, the mini Lomachenko from San Antonio, as I call him. So we got a really stacked card starting at 7:30. Tune in early. And then the 2 world title fights will begin around 10 p.m. Eastern time, give or take, but have your stream going the entire time so you don't want to miss anything. And I thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Jason. And we will see you all soon. Have a good night, or a good day and a good night. Goodbye.